There comes a moment in life when one person keeps entering your mind again and again. Even when you never asked for their memory to return, you wake up and before you even understand your own mood for the day, their name rises quietly inside your thoughts, as if it has been waiting there all night. You go through your day, and no matter how busy you are, how focused you try to be, or how many people you speak to, their face appears in your mind without warning. Their memory slips into your heart, even in moments that are supposed to be peaceful, even during prayer. Even while you are trying to reconnect with yourself and with your Creator. You do not look for these thoughts. You do not sit down and choose to remember. You are not calling their name inside your mind, yet it comes anyway. The thought arrives suddenly and silently, the way a shadow appears when the light shifts. It comes unannounced, as though something deep inside you refuses to release the last trace of what once made your heart feel something real. You may even feel annoyed or confused by how often their image appears, but the thought still returns like a wave that does not ask permission before touching the shore. This repetition makes you wonder why you cannot control your own heart, why your mind keeps circling back to someone who is no longer in your life, why their memory has such a strong hold on you, even when you are trying so hard to move forward. But the truth is, the heart does not let go just because the mind says it should. The heart clings to moments that touched it deeply, and it holds on to emotions that were never understood, never healed, or never completed. So the thought keeps returning, not because you are weak, not because you are obsessed, not because you want to go back, but because something inside you has not yet found peace with what happened. And until that peace is found, the memory will continue to rise in your thoughts again and again, like a gentle reminder that something within you still needs to be understood, still needs to be healed, still needs to be faced. You start asking yourself why this is happening and why this person continues to live inside your mind even though they are no longer part of your life. You wonder why your heart keeps returning to a story that never found the ending you hoped for or the peace you prayed for. You try to distract yourself with work, with people, with conversations, with anything that can keep your thoughts busy. But sooner or later, the memory returns. You try to be strong and tell yourself that you have moved on, but one small reminder, one quiet moment, one empty space brings their image back again. You try to forget and force your mind to look forward, but your heart keeps whispering their name softly, quietly, without your permission. It feels confusing because you know the chapter is closed, but your emotions still act like it is open. It feels unfair because you are trying to move forward, but something inside you keeps pulling you backward. It feels painful because no matter how much time passes, something in your heart still reacts to their memory. You begin to question yourself, wondering if you are weak or too emotional or stuck in the past. But the truth is, your heart is speaking in the only language it knows. It brings back thoughts when something inside you is still unfinished, still unhealed, still trying to understand the meaning behind what happened. The whisper of their name is not a sign that you want to return to the past. It is a sign that a part of you has not yet found the closure you needed. You are not choosing these thoughts. They come on their own because the heart holds on to what touched it deeply. And it does not let go until the lesson, the pain, or the truth is fully seen. You may be trying to forget, but your heart is trying to understand. And until it understands, it will continue to send these quiet reminders into your mind without asking for your permission. Some days these memories come to you softly and they feel almost gentle, like a warm echo from a time when your heart felt alive. They remind you of a moment when you were open, when you were hopeful, when something inside you felt bright. Again, these thoughts feel harmless on those days. They feel like small pieces of comfort that pass through your mind without hurting you. They feel like a quiet reminder that you once felt something real, something meaningful, something that touched your heart in a way you did not forget. But on other days, these same memories feel heavy, almost unbearable. They sit on your chest like a weight that makes it hard to breathe and even harder to find peace. They come rushing into your mind when you are already struggling, and they pull you down even deeper. You feel frustrated with yourself, wondering why you still remember something you thought you had already let go of. You feel confused because you cannot understand why the thought keeps returning even when you do not want it to be there. You feel tired because you have been pushing these memories away again and again, only for them to return as strong as before. These thoughts do not disappear no matter how hard you try to ignore them, and this makes you wonder what is wrong inside you. But the truth is, nothing is wrong. The memories return because they are carrying something your heart still needs to face. They come back as if they are asking for your attention, as if they are saying, look at me, do not run from me, listen to what I am trying to show you. They are not here to punish you. They are here because something inside you still needs understanding, still needs healing, still needs light. This is why the memories feel different on different days. On gentle days, they show you what you once loved or hoped for. On painful days, they show you what is still unfinished inside you. They return not to break you, but to guide you back to the parts of yourself that you have ignored for too long. But what if these thoughts are not here to bother you and not here to make you feel weak or ashamed? What if they are not signs of obsession or a lack of control, but gentle messages coming from inside you, from places in your heart that you have not opened or understood in a long time? What if the reason this person keeps appearing in your mind has nothing to do with needing them, and everything to do with what your soul is trying to show you about yourself? Sometimes the heart brings back a thought again and again because there is something inside you that still needs attention, something that has not healed, something you never faced because it was too painful or too confusing at the time. These thoughts may not be calling you back to the person. They may be calling you back to yourself. They may be pointing you toward an emotion you pushed aside, or a truth you hid from, or a wound you covered, instead of treating. Your soul knows when something inside you is unfinished, and it speaks through the mind in the only way it can. It sends reminders, it sends memories, it sends thoughts that are eternal even when you try to push them away. Each thought might be saying, there is something here that you need to look at. There is something here that needs understanding. There is something here that needs your compassion. Your mind may think you are missing the person, but your heart may actually be trying to show you a part of yourself that you lost somewhere along the way, a part that needs healing, a part that needs honesty, a part that needs to be seen with kindness instead of fear. This person could simply be the mirror that reflects that hidden place inside you, a place you have avoided for too long. So what if these thoughts are not problems at all? What if they are invitations? Invitations to heal, invitations to grow, invitations to understand a deeper truth about yourself. Your heart never repeats a thought without meaning. Every return of this memory could be your soul gently guiding you toward the part of you that is finally ready to be healed, understood, and brought into the light. We are not here to judge you or to tell you to forget everything or to pretend you never cared. That is not how the heart works, and that is not how healing happens. We are here to understand. We are here to walk gently inside the places you pushed aside, the wounds you covered with silence, the emotions you told yourself to ignore, the feelings you were afraid to admit. Because sometimes a person stays in your mind not to bring you back to them, but to bring you back to the parts of yourself you have been running away from. Maybe these thoughts are a sign that your heart is ready to learn something new, ready to understand a truth you avoided, ready to heal a wound you buried long ago. Maybe this person is simply the surface of a deeper message, a message that says, look inside and listen. Something in you needs attention. Something in you needs compassion. Something in you needs honesty. So tonight, let us begin this journey together gently, without pressure, without fear, without shame. Let us walk into this feeling with an open heart, because these thoughts might not be a punishment, they might be an awakening, a quiet reminder that before you find peace with anyone else, you must first find peace within yourself. Sometimes a person awakens a feeling inside you that you did not even know was still alive, a feeling you thought had disappeared a long time ago. Maybe you were moving through life on autopilot, doing what you had to do, surviving every day without really feeling anything. Then this one person came into your life and suddenly something shifted inside you. They made you feel noticed when you were used to being invisible. They made you feel important when you were used to being ignored. They made you feel seen in a way you did not even know your heart needed. And because that feeling was so new and so deep, your mind keeps going back to them again and again, trying to understand what happened inside you. You do not think about them because they are perfect. You think about them because they made a hidden part of your heart wake up. Maybe it was the way they spoke to you with kindness. Maybe it was the way they listened. Maybe it was the way they understood you without you having to explain every detail. Maybe it was simply the way they made you feel a little lighter, a little safer, a little more human. And because that moment touched something true inside you, your mind holds on to it like a memory of warmth in a cold season. Your thoughts do not return to them because you want to chase them, but because your soul remembers the feeling they awakened. It is like touching a light you did not know existed inside you, and your heart keeps turning back to it, trying to understand where that light came from. You find yourself replaying their words, their smile, the small moments that felt simple but meant everything. And each time you think of them, it is not really about them. It is about the version of yourself that came alive when they were near. This is why their memory feels so powerful. They did not just enter your life. They entered a quiet part of your heart where you kept old emotions locked away. They stepped into a space you never opened before, and without even trying, they left a mark. And now your mind keeps returning to that moment, not because it wants to hold on to the person, but because it wants to understand the feeling, the awakening, the softness that rose inside you. This is the truth behind why they keep appearing in your thoughts. Your heart is trying to tell you something. It is not asking you to chase the person. It is asking you to explore the feeling they awakened inside you, because that feeling was real and pure and honest. Something inside you wants to learn from it. Something inside you wants to understand it. Something inside you wants to grow from it. You think about them not because they are the answer, but because they unlocked a door inside your heart that you are now ready to walk through. And once you understand this, the thoughts will begin to make sense, because they were never about the person. They were about the part of you that finally opened and finally breathed again. When a person keeps coming into your mind again and again, it can be a sign that there is a wound in your heart that has never been given the chance to heal. The thought of them returns not because you want it to, but because something inside you is still hurting and has not found peace. Your mind keeps replaying old conversations, moments, or memories because it is searching for answers that you never received. It is trying to close a story that was left open and unfinished. Sometimes you did not get the apology you needed. Sometimes you never got to express what was really in your heart. Sometimes things ended suddenly and you were left holding emotions with nowhere to put them. And when a story ends without understanding, the heart continues to hold on because it is waiting for clarity, waiting for closure, waiting for healing. You might feel frustrated that you still think of them. You might feel weak or embarrassed, but this is not weakness. This is your heart trying to speak to you. A wound speaks before it heals. It speaks through memories. It speaks through reminders. It speaks through sudden thoughts that visit you when everything is quiet. It is the heart's way of saying there is something inside you that still hurts and still needs your attention. Maybe they hurt you and you never faced that pain. Maybe you hurt yourself by staying silent when you should have spoken. Maybe you carried blame that was never yours. Maybe you pretended you were fine when you were breaking inside. The heart does not forget what the mind tries to bury. It brings it back again and again because it wants you to finally look at it and finally understand it. You are not remembering the person. You are remembering the moment you were wounded. You are remembering the emotion that entered your heart but was never released. The thought returns because your heart is trying to show you the place that needs healing, the place that needs honesty, the place that needs softness, the place that needs forgiveness or acceptance. This is why running away from the thought never works. Ignoring it never works. Forcing yourself to forget never works. Your heart is wiser than your mind. It knows what needs to be healed, and it will not stop reminding you until you give that wound the attention it needs. You think of them because something in you is still open, still raw, still waiting to be understood. And once you listen to that pain, once you allow yourself to feel what you avoided for so long, the thoughts will slowly fade. They will fade not because you erased the memory, but because the wound has finally been touched and finally allowed to heal. There are moments when you think you miss a person, but what you are really missing is the peace you felt when they were close to you. Many times we attach our calm to someone without even realizing it. When they were around, you felt lighter, more confident, more understood. You felt like you mattered. You felt safe in a way that was rare for you. And because that feeling was so warm, your heart began to depend on it without your permission. So when they left or when the connection changed, it felt like your peace left with them. It felt like the quiet inside you disappeared. It felt like your emotional balance was shaken, and now your mind keeps returning to them because it believes that peace can only come back if they come back. It ties the feeling of comfort to the memory of that person as if they were the only source of calm in your life. But when peace depends on someone else, it never feels stable. You start to fear losing them. You start to fear their silence. You start to fear the distance between you. You start to fear that without them you cannot feel whole again. This fear becomes stronger than the connection itself, and it makes your thoughts cling to them even tighter. Your heart is not weak for feeling this. Your heart is simply trying to protect you. It remembers how peaceful you felt. It remembers how safe you felt. It remembers how different life felt around them. And now it is trying to bring that feeling back the only way it knows how, by reminding you of them again and again. But the truth is, the peace you felt was never theirs. It was always yours. It came from something inside you that woke up when their presence touched it. They were not the source. They were only the trigger. The calm you felt was your own inner softness, your own inner warmth, your own ability to feel safe and grounded. That peace lives within you, even if you can no longer see the person who once awakened it. Your mind keeps returning to them because it believes they hold something that actually belongs to you. The truth is, you do not need someone to return for your heart to feel calm again. You need to return to yourself the moment you understand that the feeling was yours, not theirs. The thoughts will slowly lose their power. They will fade, not because you forced yourself to forget, but because you found the peace inside you that you once believed lived inside them. There are times when a person enters your life and without meaning to, they touch places inside you that you have avoided for years. They say something or do something that stirs a feeling you did not expect, maybe a fear, maybe an insecurity, maybe an old memory, maybe a weakness you tried to hide. Their presence does not just affect your heart. It reveals the parts of you that were sleeping, or the parts you kept locked away, because facing them felt too heavy. When this happens, your mind keeps going back to that person because they opened a door inside you that you were not ready to walk through. Their presence acted like a mirror, showing you something about yourself that you did not want to admit. Maybe they reminded you of how easily you get attached. Maybe they exposed your fear of being abandoned. Maybe they revealed how deeply you want to be loved or how quickly you give your heart away. Maybe they awakened a longing you pretended you did not have. You think about them not because you want them back, but because they touched a truth inside you that you were not prepared to face on your own. They brought emotions to the surface that you pushed down for a long time, and now the mind keeps returning to the memory because it is still trying to understand those emotions. It is still trying to make sense of the part of you that suddenly woke up. The thought repeats because your heart is asking you to slow down and look inside. Sometimes this person triggers old pain you never healed. Someone from the past may have hurt you, abandoned you, or made you feel unworthy, and you never truly recovered from that wound. Then this new person comes along and their presence brings that old pain back to life, not to hurt you again, but to show you that it still lives inside you. The heart brings up what needs healing, and it will keep reminding you until you face it. Other times, this person awakens a strength inside you that you did not know you had. Maybe the strength to speak honestly, maybe the courage to set boundaries, maybe the ability to feel deeply again, maybe the desire to grow into a better version of yourself. And because that part of you has not fully grown, yet your mind keeps going back to the moment they awakened it, it is your soul telling you to pay attention because something inside you is changing. This is why thinking of them feels powerful. It is not the person, it is the lesson. Their presence opened a window to your inner world, a side of you that needed to be seen or healed or understood. You are not being punished by these thoughts. You are being guided toward the parts of you that still need love and still need truth. Your heart knows when something inside you is unfinished. It knows when a feeling has been ignored. It knows when a part of you needs compassion more than silence, and it will not stop sending reminders through thoughts, memories, and reflections, because your soul is calling you toward growth. So when this person enters your mind again, do not only think of them, think of what awakened inside you, because that is where your real healing begins. The thoughts will soften when the lesson becomes clear, because they were never about the person. They were about the hidden part of you that finally came into the light. There are moments when you think you are holding on to a person, but in reality, you are holding on to the future you imagined with them. You replay conversations, not because they were special, but because of what you hoped those moments would lead to. You remember their words, not because they were perfect, but because you attached meaning to them in your heart. You think about the connection, not because it was enough, but because you believed it could become something beautiful if only things had gone differently. Sometimes we fall in love with potential, not reality. We fall in love with who we hoped they would become, with the effort we hoped they would give, with the kindness we wish they would show, with the consistency we prayed they would develop. We fall in love with how we imagined they would love us tomorrow, not with how they truly loved us today. And when that dream breaks, the mind continues to turn back to the person because the dream has not been laid to rest. Your heart is not returning to them. It is returning to the version of the story that lived inside your mind. The version where things finally made sense, where your emotions were understood, where your love was matched, where your patience was appreciated, where the ending was peaceful and the connection was strong. Your heart goes back again and again because it is grieving the future you built in your imagination. a future that felt real even if it never happened in reality. This is why the thoughts feel confusing. The person may not have been right for you. The story had problems. The reality was different from the dream, yet your heart keeps returning because it does not know how to let go of the version it hoped for. The loss of potential can hurt as much as the loss of a person, because you are not just letting go of someone, you are letting go of everything you believed could have happened with them. It is natural to feel this way. The human heart creates stories silently without permission. It builds hopes in moments. It creates pictures of what life could look like with someone. It imagines healing, joy, support, love, growth, and peace. And when the connection fades, those dreams stay behind like unfinished pages of a book your heart wanted to write. But here is the truth that brings healing. You were not wrong for hoping. You were not wrong for dreaming. You were not wrong for seeing beauty where your soul felt safe. Your heart only wanted to be loved in a pure way, and it expressed that a hope through the future it imagined. The story you built inside was a reflection of your own capacity to love deeply, not a reflection of who they truly were. When you realize this, the thoughts begin to make sense. You are not missing them. You are missing the idea you once held. You are missing the feeling of possibility. You are missing the version of yourself that believed everything could work out if love was strong enough. And when you understand that, and the dream was yours, not theirs, something inside you begins to release. You begin to take back your power, because you see that the story was growing inside your heart, not inside their actions. And slowly, as this truth settles inside you, the thoughts lose their grip. They soften because the dream that once held your heart is now understood for what it truly was: a hope, not a promise, a wish, not a reality, a lesson, not a destiny. The person fades when the dream fades, because it was the dream that held your heart all along. There are moments when your heart keeps thinking about someone, not because you want them back, but because you are learning a new way of loving, a way that is healthier, softer, and wiser. For a long time, you may have believed that love means holding on tightly, that love means fighting for someone even when it hurts, that love means never letting go, no matter how heavy the story becomes. You may have confused attachment with love without realizing it, because attachment feels strong, loud, and urgent, while true love feels calm, steady, and free. Attachment makes you cling because it is scared of losing. Attachment makes you worry about every silence, every delay, every change. It makes you think that without this person, your heart will fall apart. It makes you believe that they complete you, even though your heart was never meant to be completed by a human being. Attachment is born from fear, fear of being alone, fear of being unloved, fear of not being enough, and fear of not being chosen. That fear holds your heart tightly like a hand you cannot pull away from, and that is why the thoughts keep coming back. But real love is different. Real love gives space. Real love breathes. Real love does not chain your heart to one person or one outcome. Real love allows two people to grow instead of suffocating each other. Real love wants good for the other person, even if that good does not include you. Real love trusts that what is meant for you will stay without force, and what is not meant for you will leave without destroying you. Your constant thoughts about this person may be a sign that your heart is moving from attachment toward love. It is learning to care without losing yourself. It is learning to remember without drowning. It is learning to feel deeply without letting the feeling control your entire life. This process is not easy, because attachment is loud, but love is gentle. Attachment screams, but love whispers, and your heart is trying to learn that difference slowly. You might think of them when you see something familiar, when you hear a certain tone, when you pass a place that holds a memory. And at first, these thoughts feel like a pull back toward the old version of love, the version where you believed you needed someone to feel whole. But inside that thought, there is a lesson forming, a reminder telling you that your heart is growing stronger than before. It is learning to stand on its own, learning to understand that peace comes from within, not from someone else. Your soul is teaching you that you can love someone without holding them tightly, that you can care without clinging, that you can feel without drowning. And because this is a new way of being, your mind keeps returning to the old story, trying to compare, trying to understand, trying to adjust. If thought comes back, because your heart is transforming, and transformation takes time. When you notice this person appearing in your mind again, do not think of it as a sign of failure. Think of it as your heart practicing a new kind of strength, a new kind of softness, a new kind of wisdom. You are not going backward. You are becoming someone who can love without losing yourself, someone who can feel without fear, someone who can care without being controlled by the feeling. And slowly, as this new understanding settles inside you, the thoughts will begin to feel different. They will not grip you the way they once did. They will pass through your mind like a soft breeze instead of a storm. They will become gentle reminders of how far you have come. and how much your heart has learned. Because what you are really learning is that love does not harm you when you hold it correctly. Love frees you, love strengthens you, love brings peace, not fear. And once your heart understands this truth, the attachment will fade, and what remains will be something pure, something calm, something mature, something real. There are times in life when a person does not enter your world to stay forever. They come for a moment, a season, a chapter, and then life moves them in a different direction. But their presence touches you so deeply that your heart keeps returning to them, wondering why the connection felt meaningful. Even if the story never continued, you think of them not because they are meant to walk with you until the end, but because something about your meeting carried a purpose that your soul is still trying to understand. Some people are lessons wrapped in human form. They arrive to show you something you needed to see at a specific moment of your life. Maybe they came to teach you patience when your heart was impatient. Maybe they came to remind you that you can still feel love after a long season of numbness. Maybe they came to show you your own worth after you spent years doubting yourself. Maybe they came to wake up a desire for growth inside you, a desire to become a better version of who you were. These people feel important not because the story lasted, but because the meaning they carried was powerful. Your mind does not return to them because you need them. Your mind returns because the lesson they brought is not complete yet. Your soul is still processing what that connection awakened. Maybe they showed you a weakness you must work on. Maybe they showed you a strength you did not know you had. Maybe they showed you what kind of love you truly deserve. Maybe they showed you what kind of love you should never accept again. Maybe they came into your life to prepare you for something or someone that will come later. There are people who walk into your life to open a door inside you, a door that was locked for years. They may have entered your path only briefly, but they lit something inside you, something you cannot unsee anymore. They made you aware of your own emotions, your own needs, your own capacity to love, your own capacity to heal. If they had not come, you may have continued living in the same patterns without realizing what needed to change. They were not the destination. They were the spark that pushed you toward the direction your heart needed. Sometimes they came to break you open so that you could rebuild yourself with more strength. Sometimes they came to soften your heart so you could love again without fear. Sometimes they came to show you how far you have grown from who you used to be. Sometimes they came to guide you back to your creator, reminding you that everything in this world is temporary, and every attachment teaches you something about where your heart truly belongs. When a person has fulfilled their purpose in your life, their presence begins to fade naturally, not because you force yourself to forget, but because the lesson has finally settled inside you. And when that lesson is learned, the thoughts loosen their grip, the memories lose their weight, the ache becomes soft. You wake up one day and realize you can think of them without pain because the meaning is now clear. They were never the ending of your story. They were the turning point. The reason they keep appearing in your mind is because the lesson has been unfolding inside you step by step, and you are just now recognizing its value. When the message becomes clear, the heart no longer needs their image to teach you. It releases them gently with understanding, not bitterness. It lets in the past rest because your soul has taken what it needed. And in that moment, something inside you becomes clear in a way it never was before. You begin to understand that this person was never meant to be your final destination. They were a bridge that helped you cross from one stage of your life to another. They were a moment that pushed you forward, a turning point that changed your path, a mirror that revealed something important about your heart. They were a chapter that shaped you, but not the entire story you were meant to live. You realize they were a sign placed on your path to guide you, not a home you were meant to build your life around. They came to wake you up to your own strength, to your own needs, to your own hidden wounds, to your own deep capacity to love. They came to show you what you needed to see at that exact time. And when their purpose was complete, life moved them away because their part in your journey was already done. Once this awakening settles inside you, your heart begins to grow calmer than it has been in a long time. The confusion starts to lift. The heaviness loosens its grip. The thoughts that once rushed into your mind now start to soften because you finally understand that you do not need this person to stay in your life in order to keep the lesson they gave you. The growth is yours, the wisdom is yours, the strength is yours. You carry the meaning inside you now, and that changes everything. The heart does not cling to what has fulfilled its purpose. The heart does not hold tightly to someone who was only meant to guide it for a moment. Your heart becomes quieter because it is no longer searching. It becomes stronger because it knows it can stand on its own. It becomes peaceful because it understands that every person enters your life with a purpose and leaves when that purpose is fulfilled.